subscribe for more.
I didn't wake up one morning wanting to divorce my wife. It wasn't some dramatic decision fueled by rage or betrayal. It was quieter than that, slower. The kind of thought that sneaks in when you've been ignored long enough that silence feels louder than arguments. My name is Elliot Harper. I'm 43, work in logistics, pay my bills on time, show up when I'm supposed to. I married Naomi 12 years ago because she felt like home. Lately, though, our house felt more like a waiting room where nothing ever happened. Naomi used to laugh easily. Big, careless laughs that filled a room. Somewhere along the way, those laughs stopped happening around me. Conversations turned functional. Did you pay the electricity bill? What time are you home? Don't forget the bins. Physical closeness faded so gradually, I almost convinced myself it was normal. Stress, work, life. That's what I told myself. That's what men are good at doing. Rationalizing neglect until it becomes routine. I tried fixing things the way I was taught, by doing more. Cooking dinner, cleaning without being asked, asking about her day and actually listening, planning small weekends away that somehow always got postponed. Every effort felt like tossing a pebble into a deep well and waiting for a sound that never came back. When I reached for her at night, she'd shift slightly, just enough to create distance without saying no out loud. That kind of rejection messes with your head. It makes you question your worth without giving you anything solid to push against. The idea of divorce didn't arrive all at once. It formed slowly, like a bruise you only notice when you press on it. I started imagining what it would feel like to live alone. Quiet, yes, but honest. No guessing, no hoping, no pretending. I didn't hate Naomi. That was the problem. I still loved her. I just didn't feel loved back. And loving someone alone is exhausting in a way that's hard to explain. The night everything shifted was a Thursday. Ordinary in every sense. Naomi had gone out for drinks with her friends from work. I stayed home, sorted paperwork, watched a documentary I barely followed. I was mentally rehearsing a conversation I'd been avoiding. Not an ultimatum, just honesty. I had already decided that if nothing changed, I would ask for a separation. Not dramatically, calmly, like adults. Naomi came home later than expected. I heard her in the hallway, heels off, keys tossed into the bowl. She didn't know I was still awake. I was standing near the kitchen when I heard her voice float in from the living room. She was on speakerphone, laughing, really laughing, the kind I hadn't heard in years. It stopped me in my tracks. Claire and Jasmine were on the call. I knew their voices. Naomi sounded lighter, animated, almost girlish. She was joking about work, about people I didn't know, about things that didn't matter. Then Claire said something I couldn't hear clearly, and Naomi laughed again before replying. No, he's not the problem. He's too good, honestly. That's what makes it worse. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just listened. She kept talking, unaware. She said she felt guilty all the time, that she felt broken for not wanting what she used to want. That being with someone steady made her feel like she was failing at something she couldn't name. Jasmine said something about therapy. Naomi sighed and said she didn't know how to explain any of this to me without hurting me. He deserves better than this version of me, she said quietly. I felt something crack open in my chest, but it wasn't anger. It was clarity. For the first time in a long while, her distance made sense. Not as cruelty, not as manipulation, as confusion, as fear, as someone lost inside themselves, not running from me, but from expectations she didn't know how to meet. When Naomi walked into the kitchen and saw me, she froze. Her smile vanished. I could see the panic in her eyes, the immediate calculation of what I had heard. She opened her mouth to explain, to apologize maybe, but I stopped her. I told her we needed to talk. Not later. Not carefully. Now. We sat at the table like strangers negotiating something fragile. I told her I had been ready to leave, that I felt invisible, that I felt unwanted. My voice didn't shake, but my hands did. Naomi cried, not defensively, not dramatically, just quietly, like someone who had been holding it in for too long. She told me she felt numb, disconnected, ashamed of it, that she stayed silent because she didn't know how to fix herself. That night didn't solve our marriage. It didn't magically restore intimacy or erase the distance between us, but it changed the story I had been telling myself. I realized I wasn't married to a villain. I was married to a human being struggling in ways she didn't have the language for, and she realized I wasn't as strong as I pretended to be. I didn't cancel my plans to protect myself. I postponed them. Divorce stopped being an escape and became a last resort instead of a first answer. We agreed to start counseling. Real counseling. Not as a performance, but as an attempt. I don't know how our story will end. I still have boundaries. I still value myself. But I also know this. Sometimes the moment that saves a marriage isn't a grand gesture. It's overhearing the truth when no one thinks you're listening. I am no longer pretending that patience means disappearing or that love means endurance without honesty. Whatever happens next will be faced with open eyes, not silent resentment. If we fail, it will be knowing we tried. If we heal, it will be because we finally spoke when it mattered most and listened without fear, excuses, or hiding.